Hi everyone, so the Diablo 4 quarterly update for September is out. This time it's about the skills and talents, also the Angelic power system and so on, and the Sorceress Enchantment system is going to be quite interesting, I believe. And also they mentioned the Endgame Progression system, but didn't really talk much about it. So overall, a rather short one. I'm going to give you the gist of it. And overall, I really like that they make these quarterly updates because you kind of like see the progression at least, and they do take some of the feedback in mind, it seems. So just providing feedback, providing suggestions, I guess anything helps to improve the process, improve the development. And here's my take on these things. So let's get started. And they give like a little intro about who's there and so on. So let's jump straight into the skills and talents. They talk about the ancestral, demonic, and angelic powers. So in case you're not aware of what this is right now, this is like a stat that you can roll on an item, and you can improve a character in certain ways. So I think ancestral power gives you like damage, and then there's like angelic power that gives you like increased proc chances and something like that. And then demonic power, I don't know exactly what that was. But basically it's kind of like another stat or multiplier that is like a little bit different than like plain damage or plain toughness or so. So they actually said that, yeah, it's actually not really cool enough. And I totally agree with that. So I would really like to see like new interesting stats that would, shape your character, that you can customize. They also mentioned that because they have like certain requirements, for example, you needed to have 100 angelic power on your combined gear, so it would activate an effect on an item. So this stuff kind of makes it so that you need to like min-max very closely around this. So I guess it will be better to kind of have maybe a little bit of like taking care of these requirements, of these breakpoints or whatever, but not too much to the point where you have like 3 full sets of gear in your inventory or in your stash just to swap out one item when you get one. So that's a bit extreme, and I think some adjustments are definitely in order. I'm quite excited to see the system in the end, what it's going to be, because I believe this has some potential, but right now also the old implementation I didn't really like so far. So let's see what they make out of it. Legendary items, they mentioned that character's power is currently too dependent on items. That's definitely the case for Diablo 3. In Diablo 4, so far, the legendary items we have seen were not really that crazy. There were, kind of like, useful effects, some DPS effects and so on, but nothing like, plus 5,000% DPS here and there. They were more like, plus 50% to that, but you have some other effects as well and stuff like this maybe. So I think these kind of items are pretty good because they actually offer like meaningful choices if you have enough of these in the same slot. Or you have like some utility choices, some speed, some pickup radius stuff, or some CC, and then you can kind of decide what to take. In Diablo 3, in most slots, there's no decision making really, because you have this one item that boosts you by like a ton, and then you have a bunch of worthless items that don't really do much. So this is usually how it goes, and we definitely need to avoid that. And that would also, just as long as they make legendary items that are kind of like meaningful and not over the top, I guess this is fine. I would really like to have like a crazy item grind. I think items is what makes ARPGs what they are, and it shouldn't really be too much baked into the character itself. But they do want to put like a bit more of an emphasis, I guess. So balancing it out is good. Let's see. And with the current items, if they keep it in kind of like that power range of what we have seen from the last quarterly update, then that would be pretty good. They also talk about the various item qualities. So what they mean is like blue items, yellow items, legendary items, and so on. And they say, for example, should magic quality items have higher affix stats than rare? I think that's a very awesome idea. So, just imagine you have like, 1 or 2 stats that are really good for your build, and then you actually try to find those on like a blue item, so that they roll like double the potential maximum roll or something like that, compared to like a yellow item that can roll 6 stats, but you have like a bunch of other stats that are maybe useful but probably not quite as good as the main stat that you want or something. I think this would be pretty cool to actually keep magic quality items interesting in some way. So maybe late game you're still gonna mostly wear legendaries or like a combination of rare and legendaries, but maybe kind of like on your way there, it might be useful to actually go for these magic quality items, or for like some niche builds that really want to stack the hell out of something. So that would be amazing. And it would also keep, you know, items interesting that are, you know, not like in Diablo 3 where, you know, everything that is like white or blue or yellow is just like insta salvage. Even most legendary items are insta salvage, and I think we should definitely try to stay away from that. So that would be pretty cool. They also mentioned more legendary items in the next block, so I'm quite excited for those. And so far what you've seen was like a good start at least. The new skill system, so this is where it gets interesting a bit. But in the end, they made like this tree here, so this looks quite fancy. And it seems a bit like they just took the previous skill trees that we have seen for the other updates, which was a bit like D2, and they put it like an assortment on this tree. And it's more like a graphical update almost, it seems to me. So you have like these nodes and you can kind of decide where to start out, I assume. So you can kind of, you know, put 3 points here and then you get this one. So these squares are the skills, and these smaller ones are like improving that skill or improving something like related to that, you know. So you have like, this is like sorceress skill tree, so you have like fire, cold and lightning. And then you can take like this skill, there's like charged bolts and there's ball lightning, and you know, there's like some thunder strike probably and stuff like this. And then here probably like a fireball and some fiery arrow and some firewall and the Hydra and so on. You can also see like from the icons that, you know, there's like a Hydra icon and there's like a smaller Hydra icon. So this probably relates to that in some way. I feel like overall the customization seems rather weak here. The problem is that you can kind of like only go one straight path. So you start here, for example, you take this skill and then you go to this and then this and then this and so on. I think that, you know, if you want to make like a build around one of these skills, or, you know, mostly around one of these skills, for example, here I think there's like ball lightning, and then you have like this ball lightning passive behind it, but they only have this one passive. There's nothing else that directly impacts the way the skill behaves, or so, at least not from what I can tell. There might be like another, you know, like more generic passive somewhere on the tree that can change your ball lightning in a way maybe. But overall it seems like, yeah, you probably have to combine certain skills, and that is fine. But I think it would be cool to also have, you know, like more customization for individual skills. I feel like this is missing right now, unless they make like a ton of legendary items, so you get like, you know, 3 different staffs that actually change your ball lightning, you know, maybe one to make it slower and then one to increase the AoE, or make like multiple ball lightnings, or they like fly around in a spiral around you or something like that. You know, there could be tons of effects for just this one skill, and I want to see many of these kind of choices to change how those builds work. That would be pretty amazing. And I feel like this doesn't really work with that, at least not from what you see here. So they have like some examples. Here's like our skill, for example, charged balls. So this is like the we also have in Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. These just stand out like some electric projectiles, I guess. Here's the ball lightning. So that's like what we have on Demon Hunter right now, with like a slow moving projectile that zaps enemies. And yeah, we don't really see these smaller nodes very much. Here's like 2 examples. I really like those effects. You know, they are special, but there are no choices, it seems. You know, if you want to make a ball lightning build, you have like this one upgrade to ball lightning, or maybe there's another one somewhere, and that seems about it. And you kind of have to decide, you know, do you take it or do you not? And yeah, that seems so far a little bit weak, in my opinion, compared to other ARPGs. What is pretty interesting though is there's also like passive skills. So here is like the active skills, and you can change these active skills with your skill points. I think there's the 40 levels and you get 1 skill point every level. Maybe there's another way to increase it somehow, but so far let's assume 40 points. So you probably take like 1 point for these skills, and then you have like 3 points or 5 points for these smaller ones. And here are passives, so these are not very much, and I guess you can just, you know, choose a few of them. Doesn't really say what they do. But basically here's like the active part, here's the passive part. And apparently you can also find more passives as you go along the tree. Maybe this will be kind of like a little bit of exploration time early on in the game, but afterwards you're probably gonna just know by heart what is what. And or maybe you can even check it, you know, you can actually see these passives here. So they might kind of like unlock over time as you progress over those branches here. Yeah, but overall, I like those effects so far. And we just need like much more of that, you know, we need like much more customization, I believe. And I hope they will go a little bit more in that direction. So we'll see about that. In the end, when you're like fully decked out, you're supposed to have like 30 to 40% of the nodes filled. So in that case, I mean, if you look at the tree here, then it should mean, you know, you have like 3 different elements. So you probably fill out like the entire lightning element or the entire fire element or so. yeah, it doesn't really seem much of a point there because there's almost no customization then, besides legendary items. So that's exactly what I mean. Like, you kind of like go this one path. Maybe you can do some hybrid builds, fire and lightning or fire and cold or something. But for the most part, I assume we're also going to have stats that incentivize you to kind of like stack one thing and not really go so much. I would really like to see like these hybrid variations. That would make it interesting. If you go like ball lightning plus fireball, and somehow you can combine them in some awesome way, and that would be amazing then. So if it's just like stack everything that's fire and that's it, that's really lame. But we'll see how it turns out in the end. So now comes a really interesting part, I believe, Sorceress Enchantment system. So I think this is pretty cool, and we've already seen the Barbarian's arsenal system. So the way that works is that Barbarian has like a bunch of weapons at the ready, like a two-handed axe and like a sword, and then like maybe some shield or a dagger, and then he takes out the hammer, and you can kind of like swap in between, like in the swings basically. And he has like this one attack with the hammer and one with the axe and so on. And this is really awesome. I feel it seems really cool, and definitely one of my favorites from what I've seen here, and like the whole like range of features. And here they also have this unique system for sorcerers. So they want to give every class a unique system. In this case, it's the enchantment. And the way this works is that every skill can be an active and a passive effect, basically. So you can see this here. That's like this example of ball lightning again. So either you cast it for X mana and just that damage and so on, and then you have this crackling like energy effect, which gives you like resources back and something like that. It can kind of like spawn this crackling energy, so you can actually get resources for your other skills to use, for example. And here on the bottom you have like these 3 enchantment slots, so you can put 3 skills there, it seems, and then they kind of like passively proc here and there. There's actually a demonstration down here of Meteor. So here's like an actively cast Meteor, so you see the impact, and here's like a passive Meteor that happens while you're attacking with something else. So I think that is really awesome. It would be cool if there were like more special effects as well. So maybe the Meteor would also be some kind of like a support thing, or maybe it like ignites enemies instead of dealing high impact damage. So you can use that ignited effect to maybe boost your other fire skills or stuff like that. Just make it more interesting, and then you can combine it, with like other enchantment skills, that proc randomly at the same time. So that is really cool, I believe. This is gonna make like builds quite unique, and especially if they have like some supporting role, you can kind of decide, do we take this, do we take that, and it's gonna add a lot of flavor to the class. I think this is pretty cool. Nice, really nice idea. They mentioned they also go for a Druid specific class mechanic. I already thought that this is kind of like a given with the shapeshifting and this like smooth transitions of like were-bear to were-wolf form, and then you cast a bit in between. So it's a bit like the Barbarian with like the arsenal going back and forth between the different like attack types. And apparently there's something on top of that for a Druid as well. So that's pretty amazing. So let's see what comes here. And I guess we'll see it in the next update as well. Yeah, and here they do talk about in-game progression, but not really. So they just mentioned that they want a system that is more in-depth and replayable than Paragon. So yeah, we'll see what that will be, I guess. I mean, the item grind will probably be quite insane because of those mythic items. They're going to be like, basically a step beyond the legendaries, and they can have like randomized legendary powers and stuff like this, it seems, or multiple legendary powers. And those will probably be kind of like the really unique items, that roll certain things that you can never find again almost. So that will be interesting to see. I think also just in general they have like this philosophy of easy to learn, difficult to master. This will be really cool if they have like some kind of pushing system again, like in Diablo 3. I really enjoy pushing, obviously, as you guys might know. And we need something like that as well in Diablo 4, I believe. A little bit of competition, a little bit of kind of like where you can show your progress, you can show your skill, you can show your knowledge of the game. This is all what we have in Diablo 3. In Diablo 3 it's a bit too RNG heavy, but all the other factors are also like quite prominently a part of this. And if you get some similar system in Diablo 4 that maybe have less RNG, less of this like downtime with fishing and farming keys and this kind of stuff, this could be really amazing, kind of like a pushing end game system, that also rewards you, I guess. So we'll see about that. I'm quite excited because the Diablo 3 pushing system overall works pretty well, I believe. It is what it is, and some people enjoy it more than others. I understand that. but it's definitely needed in some capacity. So I'm excited to see the next updates. Overall, a little bit unhappy with the skill tree so far. I really like the Sorceress system, and I'm also excited to see what they have in store for like new items for the Druid and so on. So we're gonna see that in the next update probably. So hope you enjoyed my thoughts here. Let me know what you think. Let me know what disappoints you and what you liked. And yeah, let's just also see what happens, I guess. So see you guys next time.